Welcome back, guys. I'm sorry about that. I have no idea what happened. Looks like my graphics driver just died. Shut down my second and third monitors. And crashed Radiant and crashed the mod tools entirely. Hopefully this won't be an ongoing thing. Oh, hey, Adrenaline. Wow, I haven't heard from you in a very long time. Yeah, he was, Adrenaline here was part of the, the AX, the group was called Anarchic X AX, that, I used to make maps for. Had an awesome base assault mod. You were the, you were the tap dancer, right? Yeah, dude, that's it's been a long time. Well, luckily with the new mod tools, yeah, as was just said in the chat, the mod tools are directly hooked into Steam, and we're utilizing the Steam Workshop, so it's just an automatic upload. Don't have to worry about trying to find someone to host it for you, and then trying to direct people to download it from certain websites. Nope. No more mirrors. God, it's been so long since I've even heard that term. Yeah, go ahead, shoot. Ask away. Okay, is the shape you're trying to make perfectly round? Or is it more of like an oval shape or something weird? Because if it's perfectly round, then it's very easy to do and I can show you. Okay, I'll show you. Here you go. So I'm just going to use a 512 by 512 brush and make that a cylinder for a guide. So let's say that's the shape you want to make. So I'll duplicate that, make this much smaller. I assume that's, let's just say 64 is the diameter you want to use. Just get that to its side, like that. So align it halfway, right here. And rotate the top row 90 degrees. And line that up right here, the center on the top. And then you want to align these, the center row. So the top left piece, I'm sorry, the far left vert here is going to go up here. So it's you know, it's perfectly square with the other topmost verts. Same thing with the bottom one. You want to line them up right between these two. So that'd be right. Actually, that one's already in place. And then you just want to move this one up one unit. And then duplicate it. Rotate 90 degrees. Move into place. Select both and do the same thing. There it is. And with shift and bracket left and right, you can adjust the density of the meshes. Oh, dude, no problem. There's it doesn't need to be a super advanced technique to have a question about. It's I'm happy to answer anything. The easiest way to make a cave for me is just to use 2 bevels. So go to the side view like this and make this a bevel. And then just duplicate it. And then start shaping your verts. You know, it can take a very long time. But that's really the simplest way to start. So actually, on the subject of caves, I can show you something I did for Meadow. If you never did the Easter egg for it or never watched somebody do it, then you may have not seen it. So I can show you. The map's been out long enough now. I think everyone's had ample time to find it on their own. Oh, okay. I'm ready over here. So here's the cave. I'm going to turn off lighting, so if you want a more clear look at what that is. So in this case, I started out with terrain, just a very simple blocky version of what I wanted it to look like, and then bashed a bunch of models together to make it look more realistic. Oh yes, absolutely. Cool, thanks for hanging out. Volumetric moss. Alright, talk about all these yellow lights. Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. No, that is just the that is the weather grime. So when you set a weather grime volume in your map, you can set basically which angle. I think it's based on like the sun direction. Which angle you're going to project a certain texture onto the models. So you can use it for snow. You can use it for moss, dirt, sand, blood. Really anything you want. So yeah, you could take a look at the weather grime volume included in the Giant, and that'll show you kind of a basic understanding of how the weather grime volume works. Weather grime volume is inside the entity browser. Search for weather grime, one word, I believe. Yeah, volume underscore weather grime. I can show you what I've done for this map, sure. So this is what I currently have set. This is almost a default weather grime volume. The only thing I changed was the wind speed. And that's just to get the foliage animating. Without setting a wind speed, your foliage will be static. So obviously the higher number, the more intensely foliage sways. That's almost the same exact thing. The moss for the cave is almost the same exact thing. So up here, you have a bunch of different color, gloss, and normal maps you can set. So for this one, I just have I have grass and snow set. So yeah, it'll only work on models that have grime in the name. So if you just go to the model browser and search for grime, you'll see quite a few results come up. And as long as these models are inside your weather grime volume, they will be affected by whatever color maps you set. Oh shit. Nelson is here. Nelson, our lead environment artist. And super cool dude. I don't get it, I just think it's funny. That's cool, Nelson. Thanks for stopping by. Oh, hey, makes sense. I didn't even know you were here. Several people have asked for that. Makes sense. Somebody sent me a some kind of program that displays like some kind of keyboard overlay. I'll look into it maybe for the next one. You have edges and vertices. When you're working with meshes, you never want to try to edit the edges. You only want to use vertices. Yes, E for edges and V for vertices. Both of those are the shortcuts. Oh, so you may need to be looking at it from a different view. If you're looking top down, you may just see the 9 vertices. You may not see your 3 rows. Well, if you want to do it, if you just want to make it flat for now, you don't want to actually make it 3D like with cylinders, you could just use curves. So I can show you quickly. So same thing, do a 512 by 512. Duplicate that and make this a curve mesh, so 3 by 3. Just resize it to like, let's say 128. Line it up at the middle. Rotate the top row 90 degrees. Line it up with the middle. And then just same thing, shift these down. And that's it. So, Robot, is this what you were looking to do? Something like this? Did it make sense the way I just explained it? No, you don't want to be in edge mode. You want to be in vertice mode. You want to show your verts, not see. You want to see the red and green dots, not the blue ones. Oh, no need to apologize. So my understanding, and for what I've seen from doing a little bit of testing, is the only thing you need to do to make a model into a grime model is make a new variant of it in ape and just name it underscore grime. And the engine should handle the rest. Why do your models look flat on a wall with reflective surfaces? Are you talking about models you made yourself? Or just any model in the depot? I'm not sure. In that case, I would really kind of need to see what you're talking about to answer the question. Hey, Gumby. How you doing, buddy? I think I need to pay some attention to this first trail now. I think this, the third trail, I think, is mostly blockout complete now. I'm happy with how this looks. And I have some ideas for where I want to spawn zombies and some more detailing. Yeah, Gumby, it's been fun. I'm really enjoying doing these videos. And quite honestly, even if it's just for, 9 people right now, I'm totally okay with that. That's really nice to hear, dude. And I really appreciate you guys being here. So thank you all very much. There's nothing wrong with being a nerd. We're all nerdy about something. Yeah, dude, no problem. Like I said, don't ever feel that like your question is too basic to ask or something, It doesn't need to be like advanced level design theory. It could be something as simple as how do you make a terrain mesh. That's all okay. Oh yeah, Gumby is the man. probably the biggest supporter I've had the entire time I was making maps, you know, all the way back from UO. Just a constant source of positivity. Gumby is the man. Yeah, robot, shift plus D. Shift D to rotate 90 degrees. So I used to... I see a lot of people saying that they lack motivation, or they find themselves, you know, not being able to get into more, you know, modding anymore. And really, the best advice I can give, because I've been there too, is to do it for yourself. You know, don't listen to anyone who gives you shit about, you know, they don't like your style or the kind of things you do. You know, do what makes you happy. Make the kind of map or mod you want. And if you're doing that, then you'll never lack the motivation to do it. What I'm saying is, if you release a map and you get some people, even if it's just one person telling you, you know, your map is shit, it's ugly, it's stupid, it's whatever it is, you know, fuck that person, fuck those people. If you're happy with it, then keep on going, keep doing what you want to do. That's really the way I look at my projects, is I'm doing what I want to do. And, you know, that's not to say you don't take anyone's opinion into consideration. You know, feedback is always good, as long as it's constructive feedback. You know, there's a difference between, hey, I think you should move this, as opposed to, why the fuck would you put that thing there? You just ruined the map, fuck you. Which, take a look at the comments on Meadow, on my Steam page. There's quite a bit of that, which is why I don't take those people seriously. Oh, dude, I hear you. You know, it's sometimes... Yeah, that's, you know, the next thing I can say is don't force yourself to do anything. I said this in one of my other streams, was if I start feeling like I don't know what to do with this area, or I'm not sure how to design it. I'll just put it down, and I'll move on to something I know. I know what I want to do here, so I'm going to put that on the shelf for now and go work on this. And eventually an idea will come to me, and then I'll circle back to it. But the best thing is let the inspiration come to you. Don't try to find it. Don't try to force it. Oh, Gumby, you don't need to shut up. You feel free to chime in with anything you want. Glad to have you here. Yeah, Robot, I hear you. I did Meadow while very busy at work, and there were some weekends where I would spend the entire weekend. The second I got up on Saturday morning, I'd be on my computer working on Meadow, and then there were stretches where like a month at a time where I wouldn't even think about sitting at my computer. So that's why I'm saying don't try to force it. Work on it at your own pace, and fuck what anyone says. Well, I think it's about finding the right project and being really enthusiastic about it. And, if it's something where, you do one project a year, then that's okay too. Yeah, I have tons of ideas for zombies maps I would love to make. The problem is a lot of them are very big in scope, and I could foresee taking a year to make one of them. You know what? I'd much rather see somebody. I'd much rather see somebody take their time on a map than, you know, try to rush it out and say, you know, use it as a bragging point. Hey, I made this map in a month, or I built it in 3 days. Whatever, you know. I've seen lots of people take their time, and you know, like a good example is I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name right now. The guy who made that Asylum-styled map for World at War. He spent a really long time doing it. He didn't post frequent updates on social media anywhere. And he fucking nailed it when he released it. Yes and yes. Clinic of Evil, I think, was the name. Yes. And Zartax. Yeah. You guys are right. Gumby, I usually don't. I usually, except towards the end of working on Meadow, I really didn't work on it during the week. Once I saw that, you know, saw some light at the end of the tunnel, then I was a little bit more motivated to jump on after, you know, working, you know, a full day and try to get it done. Oh yeah, I think Jammy is good. He's got a lot of skill. He has, for what I've seen from his screenshots and everything, he's got a great eye for detail. What's some ideas I've had for zombies maps? Okay, well, I guess like my kind of dream project that I've always wanted to do, and I don't really have a lot of, I don't have like the entire thing spec'd out or anything, but the kind of rough idea is, if you've ever played like an open world exploration game, something like Dear Esther or Everyone's Gone to the Rapture, I would love to make something like that in the Black Ops 3 engine, where it's really just kind of like traversing and exploring an environment and trying to track down a single zombie. Congratulations. When I remember the day I downloaded COD Radiant for the very first Call of Duty, before United Offensive was even out, and I started watching a bunch of these really bad video tutorials that were just all wrong. And they showed how to make terrain meshes and didn't explain how to weld them together. So I used to think that also, well, for some reason, Radiant installed with Snap to Grid turned off. So everything was just like freeform, nothing was snapped to the grid. And I thought that the way you merged everything together was just trying to move the verts into as close a space as possible. And I remember trying to do a cliff that way and just getting so frustrated, saying there's no way this is it. This can't be right. And one of those aha moments when I found a video of someone explaining how to weld verts together. So I remember stupid moments like that, and that's why I say when you say something like, how do I make a cylinder, or how do I do this or do that, those are not stupid questions. So yeah, Hammer and Radiant both kind of started from the same place, but moved in very different directions. So even if you knew a lot in Hammer, it may not translate well to Radiant. Makes sense. Someone had an idea in the last stream to do like text tutorials with like video supplements, which I think might be kind of a cool way to do it. Instead of really, you know, just like narrating and explaining. And I think it's great that people do video tutorials. You know, once in a while, you know, I'll pick up something from a video tutorial and say, hey, you know, I didn't know that about, you know, how to move reflection probes or, you know, something like that. How to edit FX. You know, these are things that I don't have a lot of experience with. So I think it's great that people like Jaybird or Blackjack Johnny, you know, really dig into the tools and can focus on learning the best ways to do things I don't have experience with. Oh yeah, Umbra is, as Renegade said, Umbra is the new occlusion method. So everything within the Umbra volume will be using Umbra for occlusion. What do you mean filling in the steps? making the stairs appear not floating. Hang on. So if I isolate the stairs here that I made in one of the previous streams, are you talking about like this here, this vertical piece? That's very simple. It's just a normal 2x2 terrain mesh, and you just weld it to the top pieces. So here I isolated 2 top pieces. So one way you can do this, let me hide this guy. You select the top one, V to show the vertices. Control left click to select a row. I'm going to press that twice here. So now I've got, oh, well, there you go. I keep forgetting about push to talk being on that, the same key as my extrude shortcut. Drag it down. Drag it down with the manipulator handle. And then you want to weld, select the bottom piece, and then select this top piece, and then weld them together. And it's done. Yes. Yeah, that's the easiest way to do it. Or you could just make an entirely new terrain mesh and just flip it so it's vertical and then weld it to the top and bottom. And if you want to do it that way, I can show you. Just draw a brush, switch to your side or front view. You can size it now or after you make it a terrain, it doesn't matter. And then that's it, there you have your piece. Then you select your top and bottom first, and then this one, and then weld them. And it's done. I know, I don't know which one I want to change because I've been using caps lock or push to talk for years. And it's so convenient to use that for extrude. I don't know. So does that help? Did that make it a little bit more clear for you? Perfect. Alright, so I'm pretty much done with the kind of general block out of the first path here. So another thing, I don't think I've explained this, another thing I like to do when working in Radiant is I have an Xbox One controller plugged into my PC. So I like to use this just to kind of, if you didn't know, Xbox One controller or a 360 controller will work in Radiant if you haven't enabled. So like right now I'm using the controller right here. And this is good for mimicking how it's going to feel moving through the map. So I'll just like to kind of fly around here for a minute and see how my lines of sight feel and, you know, the different elevation changes and the blockers and all that stuff. You know, while I'm doing this, I'm imagining zombies are spawning in around me, or I'm being chased by zombies. I'm imagining seeing teammates running across this bridge and they need help. How's the somebody goes down on the bridge? What's the fastest way for me to get up there? And right now, is my path too long to get up there? Do I need to add a shortcut? So kind of keeping all these things in mind while I'm flying around. And actually, I think right here, and get rid of this blocker. I'm going to put in a, as unrealistic as it is, I'm going to put in a perk by here. Maybe put double tap over here. So this is a problem right here. What I don't like about this is coming down these stairs here, I can't immediately see that perk by. So it looks good from this angle, coming down these stairs, it's right in my line of sight. Now it may not end up being a problem later on, because obviously these giant green blocks aren't going to be giant green blocks. Might be like a cluster of trees or something like that. But, yeah. So, I'm either going to end up... Well, let's see. So, okay. So, I think, first of all, this guy needs to move over a little bit. And maybe, well... I don't want to shift this one over this way because I don't want to close in the space here. That's going to make it too narrow. So let's say that's a tree. Put that there. Hide that. That's still actually right in the line of sight. So then in this case, I think move this tree over and then move the perk by here instead. I'll see how that looks from both sides. I think that's a much better solution. Well, that tree is still kind of in the way. And there it is. Yeah, you're right. Lighting will definitely help too. So during the last stream, somebody had mentioned adding a house somewhere on the grounds, and that's kind of stuck with me, and I like the idea a lot. I'm just trying to think of where I'd like to place it. Yeah, lighting can be a great way to guide players around and to grab their attention. Well, so I think in terms of adding extra buildings on the grounds, I think we're looking at two different things. We're looking at like a small living quarters for priests, as you've suggested, and maybe like a maintenance room, or like a maintenance building that has things like shovels and wheelbarrows and crates and maybe like a small cot, or more of like a glorified supply room. Robot, if you're talking about if you want a vehicle to move around a very specific path, you probably want to use path nodes for that. But I could be wrong. I'm not really probably not the guy to ask about scripting related stuff. And there you go. Makes sense as the guy you want to ask about script related stuff. Yes, that's the plan. The only stuff I may do outside of a stream is like just like script setup and that kind of stuff, because I'm not real good with that kind of stuff, and you would just see me stumbling through script files and constantly compiling and failing and compiling and failing. So I think I would just try to get the basic setup going so I get zombies spawning. And once that's working, then continuing the process on stream. All the green blocks are just temp blockers, like visual blockers. So the map's not going to feel... It's not going to feel this corridory, if that's even a word. These are kind of representing where the bounds of some of the playable space will be. In other spaces like this, it won't be as tight in all places like this. I think Radiant does have something like that, where with a node selected, you could like add one. I'm not exactly sure how the functionality works. I think it was if you had a series of entities that were all linked to each other, and you want to add one to the end, you could press something to continue the chain, or add a new one in the middle, without disrupting the naming convention. If that's what you're asking. I think I may have answered a question you didn't ask. Oh, I'm not sure about that. Actually, I think there used to be a way to do that. Yeah, I think it's under system user auto prefix. Yeah, Make Sense is right. So if you were to name this like robot in this field and apply an OK, then when you you link two things together that don't have a target or a target name, it'll name them Robot 1 and Robot 2 and so on. At least I believe that's what that is supposed to do. Well, good luck to you. Okay, guys, I think this is a good stopping point here. I think what I'll tackle next time is starting to fill in some of these gaps and converting some of these long paths into terrain. So yeah, I apologize again for the technical difficulties earlier. Thankfully it didn't happen again. I know I'm going to be pretty busy tomorrow, but I would love to try to do another stream. I definitely won't be doing one on Thursday. So if I don't see you or talk to you guys before Thursday, then have a great Thanksgiving. And I'll probably do another stream on Friday and over the weekend. Alright, I'll see you guys next time.